Saturday. So, oh, sure, I was going to work out how to play Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting. Can't remember how you play it. I'm going to put in a slow, sticky thing on here. Just electric caveman. Yeah, Craig. This is Saturday is New Sunday. Stephen, I was thinking of calling it Jakey Saturday because my pals used to drink on a Saturday afternoon when they would record something like on a 4-track, and they called it Jakey Saturday, so kind of fits. So it's this about that's about. But you try. Hey, Ronnie. That's minor, isn't it? Not quite got this worked out yet. I accidentally turned the volume all the way down there for some reason. Yeah, I lost it. I've just noticed something, and that is that heater is on. So hold on, there might be 2 seconds. I would have turn up. IT. I don't want to open the window because my neighbours do exist. Yeah, so as you can see, today I've dug out again, which has never really been far away. It hangs on the wall there. My Casio MG510. So what we have here is it's 1986 or 1987, basically Fender Stratocaster, made in the same factory as the one you can't see there, Fujigen. So 2 singles, humbucker. It had a coil split switch which broke, so I changed it into a coil split slash also Gilmore, or slash Gilmore. Not so much slash, but you know what I mean. And it's got a MIDI controller in it. Not like the Roland one, which is this MIDI pickup, and then it sends the information from the pickup into like a sound processor thing. This one does it inside. It's like a computer. There's like a ZX Spectrum in here. So this outputs just a general MIDI signal, which means I can stick it into anything. And one of the things I was annoyed about when I moved here was I'd sold some of my big keyboards. I had a big Korg, which sounded great. And then I had some sort of obscure 80s, or not obscure, but like proper 80s synths. And this thing wasn't working properly. Now it's working, and the only keyboards I've got are synthy keyboards. So I bought this, which is basically it depends how long the cable is, whether you're actually going to get to see it or not. Yeah, kind of long. This is basically a MIDI sound module, which has got it's basically a general MIDI bank. So I can just plug this guitar into it, and instead of just having 80 synthy sounds, I've got moderately sort of realistic for the 2000s sounding flutes and stuff. But flip a switch your switch the other direction, you get a full on guitar. And a good strat at that, not just anyone. So I almost took this into the studio when I was in the other night, my band's Cranking House, just to make sure the guitar would work. But I mean, why wouldn't the guitar work just without using the MIDI thing? But now I've got this thing. I don't know. I'm a wee bit worried that if I start using it, I'm going to end up having to always use it. Sometimes it does are pretty impressive. I haven't yet worked out exactly how this works. Why does that reduce the volume? All right, okay. Wow, hold it in. There's 3 buttons and a dial, and I need to work out how to use the 3 buttons and a dial. I was trying to play this earlier on, which was quite funny, but it's dead hard. Under the sea. I need to turn that down a bit for yeah, hold on. See if I can. Why is that just instead? Yeah, so obviously this isn't my main video for this. This is just me working out using, because this one's actually got a relatively real sounding piano. Turn around every now and again, I get a little bit loud. But it's dead hard to play. You have to be dead accurate with it. I don't know who Kenny G is. Well, ads. Ronnie, no, it's not a Buckycaster on the wall. It's stereo Buckycasters on the wall. Yeah, so that's what I was doing today. I've kind of eventually caught up with my fixing up guitars. I've now got time to finish off these. These things have been sitting in the garage, like painted for weeks now. Just haven't had a chance to actually get to them. So decided I set myself a goal that by dinner time tonight I wanted to have them assembled. They're not finished. They're not wired at all. I basically just put them back together again. So I'm still tomorrow, or maybe even later on this evening. I was going to say, but I'm not drinking yet. Saturday night, good for fighting, rocking. Fresh bottle of Bucky. And the question you're all asking, of course, it is number 12. Oh, I must have knocked the camera. At some point you can almost see. So it probably makes sense until you don't see the bucky in the bottle anymore, and then I'll probably be gibbering rubbish. You want a bucky caster? I don't need a deposit though, but you can book it. Yeah, just message me. The left-handed one I might have a thing for. I don't imagine it's the left-handed one you wanted. Yeah, so it's getting another new switch. This is getting a coil adder 20, which is technically a bit like the coil adder 15 and the coil adder 25, apart from it's got 20 sounds. So what it runs is, as you can see, there's an extra pickup. Well, I'm going to do them both the same, so it doesn't matter which one I point to. So I put the pickup this time between the neck and the middle, because my thinking is that, maybe if I stand a bit more over here, a bit better sound. My thinking is, if I stand here, I could probably a bit louder, and you can see the two bucky casters. Yeah, so my thinking was, Strats are quite thin sounding generally, so kind of having a more bassier pickup to add in is going to be bassier and better. I don't know. I should probably have done one to check it out. I think it looks quite cool. So what it's got is it's just a Strat, really. So you get a master volume, a master tone, and a 5-way switch. It's just a Strat, that's fine. And the middle tone knob is a 4-position rotary. So if you've got that at 1, it's just a Strat. If you put it to 2, it does the hum cancelling thing, which adds in the extra coil in parallel with whatever you're doing, which basically gives you 5 more sounds, including Gilmore if you're with that one, but not with the other one. With that one, if you select position 2 on the rotary and then go to the bridge pickup, you get a sort of Gilmore sound because you'll get those two together. Yes. I think that might be actually why, now to think about it, I think that might be why I did it the other way before, so I could get them further apart. Anyway, yes, and then position 3 on the rotary switch is 5 humbucker sounds, and then position 4 is 5 humbuckers that are out of phase sounds. So 20 sounds, and it just looks like a Strat. And apart from the fact it's got an extra pickup. Hopefully it makes sense. Of course you can, I was going to think about putting them up on tomorrow night. One of the reasons I'm moving this to Saturday for more social drinking is Sunday night's good for selling these sort of things. So I was maybe putting them up, but I mean, to be honest, I don't think they're going to be ready for tomorrow night anyway. Oh, they might be. I don't know. Not by the time I've done a video. In fact, I'm in the studio tomorrow, so no, they won't be ready tomorrow. Tomorrow morning is going to consist of me sleeping off this bottle of bucky, and tomorrow from 1 till 2 is going to be me frantically trying to remember how to play Black Sabbath songs on the bass, and then at 3 o'clock I'm in the studio with After the End for the first time since we did at one point, was it about the end of August or something, somewhere around about August, September or something, we managed to get, there was a sort of slight lockdown lifting, and I think we went into the studio twice for rehearsal, and then it's been that since then. So now hopefully everything's opened up again now. I was in on Wednesday there with the band I play guitar in, and tomorrow playing Sabbath. I'm going to use Epiphone for standard tuning songs, like basically the first 2 albums, and then I'm going to use the Vulture, I think, for the downtune songs, which is Master of Reality, Volume 4. What else do we do? Kind of that sort of era. So it should be fun. It's a bit. What I think is going to happen is the same thing's going to happen as what happened in Cranking House. We're going to go in, and although we're going to make mistakes, when we do play for like a minute where nobody makes a mistake, it's going to sound amazing because we've all been sort of thinking about it but not playing for like a whole year. So it's definitely going to be rock-a-doodle. Yeah. Yeah, so this arrived yesterday morning after the MIDI model thing. Also, I was actually wondering about this, about taking it into the band. See if I just I could just like sort of Velcro onto the guitar, and that's me completely self-sufficient. But I don't know how much easier that is. The thing I'm thinking is that to get the latency down, latency is like the difference between when I hit a note and when it triggers. But I mean, it's almost imperceptible. And not maybe you can hear it a little bit in that sound, but that's because there's a slight attack on the piano. But the problem with piano playing the MIDI guitar is, on a piano you don't roll your hand when you're playing chords. It sounds alright when you're plucking through, but you hit them together. You want to hit them all at the same time, sort of pluck them to make it sound like a piano, like if you used brush, if you were somewhere plucking all the strings at the same time. I bet it's going to sound really good for someone who could do finger picking. So there's a little bit of a learning curve with this. I can actually find different sounds using the guitar. There's a switch on the guitar called program change. So if I click into program change, I can choose any fret. I think it's the first 4 strings are between 0 and 12. So if I choose that one, I'll see what it's chosen. It's chosen that. What's the program down the way? No, program's up the way. And then, yeah, so I could, in theory, and I've lost a bit of paper that tells me what all the MIDI sounds are, so I'm now, there we go, I had it. Yeah, I could do that, or I could just leave it on top of my amp, so I go up and press the button and choose which one it is I want. I was looking for something along the lines of, there's orchestral hit, which I didn't know I even had. That's bound to be fun. 55. Yes! Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, I could really see this really annoying the rest of the band quite successfully. There's probably some sensible ones in there. That's the theme tune for the Empire Strikes Back with orchestral hits. The answer is no, I've never played it before, but how can it be? Not in guitar, obviously, you want orchestra. There's definitely some film soundtrackiness coming on in here anyway. Playing this is not actually that different to playing around with the sustainer. Andre Andrew's getting on with it. He's not on tonight. Maybe he's still on his dinner. Yeah, so this is it's kind of that whole playing a guitar not like a guitar thing. Because I'm playing like an orchestra, you've got to think like what an orchestra should sound like. I should do the Mandalorian theme, shouldn't I? I should maybe play along with that for a bit because it's dead slow and it's kind of cowboy twangy as well, so that would probably fit in really well. Actually, one of the things that I'm enjoying with this, although it does have 128 or however many is in a general MIDI bank, and there are options in it, there's not that many. There's already too many options with the guitar. I mean, I'm plugging it into a synth do about 10 billion gazillion things, especially the ones I've got. You know, they're all, you know, manually programmable, without very good patches, you know, sort of normal sounds. You want to sound like a piano, really? I wish you wanted to sound like a piano. But I mean, to be fair, I think they were trying to sound like a piano in 1986, but the technology just didn't exist. I'd imagine that's just samples or some other thing. Whereas the two main synths I've got, the ones that are able to play chords, are a Yamaha DX21, which is FN synthesis, which is frequency modulation. Yep, that's exciting. And the Casio, the one that actually goes with this guitar, is phase distortion. That's up here. Neither of them are particularly accurate. And then the Mini Brute and the Volca bass up there. And what's the other one? The Moog are all analog oscillators. And I've not, the one time that I tried to control the Moog with this, the Moog runs in, it's ancient, it's from the 70s, I think. It runs on a thing called control voltage, which is like, it runs in wee patch cables. You know, when you see like the Walter Carlos, someone mentioned again, people keep telling me it's now Wendy, and it's like, yeah, but the records I've got say Walter on them. But the big thing looks like a telephone exchange. Basically, that's what that runs on. So you can actually link them in, the Moog I've got, into the big telephone exchange thing. That being a modular synth. It runs on control voltage, and the Mini Brute, which is a kind of modern version of a Moog. It's all analog and stuff, but it's also got a MIDI in and a MIDI out, and a control voltage out, so I can use the MIDI guitar to control the Mini Brute with MIDI, and then the MIDI output, the Mini Brute outputs control voltage, which operates the Moog. So I tried to plug that in one time, and that was the time that I put the wrong the wrong wall wart thing into the back of the Mini Brute and frazzled it. And then that was out of commission for the last 2 or 3 years until lovely guy at Frettronics fixed it for me. I don't think it was a difficult fix, to be honest. I think it was just I just looked on the back of it, and there were honestly 30 or 40 screws to take out. And I just thought, I'm going to break this. I think I'd imagine I'd just frazzled the power converter, a fuse in the input. I know sometimes you can frazzle pedals and stuff by putting the wrong power supply in, but these days there's not really any excuse for that. Just have a wee fuse or a wee something that blows, and it'll be fine. So how's everyone's Saturday? Want me to stop playing MIDI songs? Just try to use sensibly to just play stuff in the background. Cider, nice choice. sorry, I'm just getting a bit carried away with this. Now, yesterday, this was meant to be coming today. The thing was meant to be coming today, and it arrived yesterday. And yesterday I had it all planned that I was going to do the videos. I had a guitar to wire and 2 guitars to set up, and then this thing arrived. So that was like an hour. I just was going, oh, I wonder if it's going to work. So again, I had a blast when I got this thing fixed. The guitar part, I tried to do. I think I went through a series of putting out a video every week, and they were only up for like a day because it was ridiculous. It does so much that I just can't bend my head around what it does. I'm kind of getting a wee bit more used to it just now, but even then, it's like having that many sounds. I kind of just wish it had 6 sounds so I could fully explore them. Whereas this is just, they seem to be relatively good as well. I've got an octave. 49. That's like a delayed one. And I left it too late to actually properly connect things up. I tried plugging it into the back of the loop pedal so I could loop with that. For some reason that lead doesn't like going into the back of the jam pedal. I did it literally 5 minutes before I hit record, so it was like, I didn't really have time to work it. I may have done something really obvious wrong, like putting it into the out or something like that. This seems to be working there. That was a lead I made for just a couple of weeks ago from a wee Casio keyboard, which I still not actually get down to doing a demo for. I was going to do it at the start of one of the live streams, but the one they use in Jimmy Fallon, the one he always uses when he's doing silly things. There's one where he does Metallica, Enter Sandman with Metallica, and they're all playing like plastic trumpets and thingies, and he uses the wee Casio as a drum machine, which is kind of like a beep, 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 beep type drum machine, as opposed to actually sounding anything that could even be remotely called drums. And yes, this does have drums in it. Since I mentioned drums, I suppose I should just click on it and see. Well, I'll find out where they are first in my list of 120 sounds. I'm sure they'll be near the end somewhere. Bird tweet, helicopter, applause, synth drum, reverse cymbal, melodic tom, talco drum. Talco's very nearly Malco. I wonder what that's like. Steel drums, a go-go. Maybe it doesn't have drums. It doesn't have drums as such, I don't think. I don't know. But I need to look in there. What's that? Oh, we've got 65. This, yeah. What was he, 65? It doesn't sound as realistic as the saxophone that was on that chord. You have to play with that one a little bit differently because it's got like an attack, so it's like it simulates the noise of you blowing into it, so it kind of goes, and then it's a full volume so when you hit the note. Well, it's not exactly a big delay, but it's hitting the start where it kind of starts to ramp up to the note. Oh, there's a wee bit of saxophone there. was going to say, I think it runs in more. They're less accurate in the lower notes. There's a bit of a delay in it. I think that's because the actual patch, when you hit it, even if you hit it on a keyboard, it's because it's like low down on a saxophone. You have to get that sound out of saxophone. You have to kind of go, and it kind of comes on. So that's kind of trying to make it sound real. Yeah, so today I've been picked up a couple of guitars, G&L ASAT Telecaster, ASAT Deluxe. They're quite nice. And a Yamaha Pacifica, which is the first Yamaha Pacifica I've played from like the higher up ones. Yamaha have always done this. They do like their 1 series and their 3 series and their 6 series and stuff like this. Is a 611. It's like a £600. It's got humbucker in the bridge and a P90 in the neck, and it's really nice. Really, it's still a Yamaha Pacifica, which has got it going against it. I will be doing a video for that tomorrow, probably. I have time to do that and then practice with the Black Sabbath band. Oh dear. At least I remember now, and I didn't remember tomorrow at 3 o'clock when I got a phone call from the guys in the band saying, when are you coming? Or at 3:30 because I'm already half an hour late. And it's like, right. So at least I remembered. I kind of wish my band had 2 guitarists in it, because this would be what an amazing thing to have as a second guitar part. Every song you could just have, like, if you were playing the Stones, you could just have like, obviously we'll have what would you call them? Marimbas, perhaps. What's the bit of paper? Marimbas would be number 12. 66 miles away. Not too bad. Get better at it. Higher than that. See, I mean, you could play Under My Thumb and it would sound usable. Higher, maybe. So, I don't know what to talk about. Actually, the last couple of weeks I didn't have any plan at all, and I think I just got steaming. And this time, maybe I'm not drinking fast enough. Is it still off the? I see, it's still not off the chart to get some serious rubbish going. I've also got Bucky basses on the way. I can do tubular bells. Yes, give me a second. I can play. At one point when I got my first loop pedal, I saw, what's the girl's name? The Scottish girl she was on Jules Holland. It's not KK Downing, something like that. KK Downing's a guitarist in Judas Priest. Whoever that is, using Akai head rush doing the loopy thing, and I was like, wow, I want that pedal. So I got an Akai head rush. And it's got 1 30-second loop, because it's not really meant to be a loop pedal. It's meant to be like a tape delay pedal, but it's also like as a wee bonus feature. It's got this loop thing on it. I think it's maybe just one of the first pedals that actually did that. Morag, no, it's it's because if I hadn't thought of KK Downing, is it CC something or KK something? KT Turnstile. there we go. KT Turnstile was using one. I bought that, and I tried to do tubular bells on it. I even built the original. You see my double neck Star Destroyer bass. I built the original one to do tubular bells on the loop pedal. So I could do the whole thing, and the 30-second loop was good enough, and I had it right up to the bit where it goes. Turn it on now. That was about I couldn't do. I could sort of do everything else up to that point, with the rest of it. Yeah, so I could kind of do all that bit now. But what we're doing here, when I've got that piano 1, will it work? I don't have the loop pedal connected up. I was totally, it sounded actually pretty good. I'm thinking anyway. That was years ago I'd worked that out. Muriel Gray was, I know who Muriel Gray was. She used to do a programme called The Monroe Show, where my pal Peg is into bagging Monroe, so obviously hasn't been doing it for the last year, but for Monroe, if you don't know, is like a hill in Scotland over a certain height, 1,000 feet or something. I don't know. I don't think I've ever been up one. And he was doing that, and there used to be a show Muriel Gray did called The Monroe Show, and Peg wrote to the BBC or Scottish TV, whoever it was that did it, to see if he could get like a DVD of it, because he was doing this. This is maybe about 5 years ago, and he got a letter back from Muriel Gray saying, no, it never really came out in DVD, but here I copied a couple of, so he got like a series or a few episodes on like a copied CD or a CD-ROM thing, or a DVD or copied DVD from Muriel Gray herself. So she had a copy of it, but I don't think it ever actually got officially released. So she's obviously really cool. Sort of spiky-haired, white-haired woman. Quite smiley, like quite in your face. Never met her, but yes. Tubular Bells live playing guitar was Steve Hillage. One of the first records I ever got was Steve Hillage, but I can't remember what it sounded like. I don't know what happened to it. The live Tubular Bells is a funny one. There's a live version on, I don't know what it is. It's like the Old Grey Whistle Test or something like that. And Michael Oldfield's playing bass, and I think it's Mick Taylor from the Stones playing guitar in it. I think that Mike Oldfield wasn't happy with the idea of performing it live. He was never meant to do that. He was, it was no, he did it as his project. It was originally called Opus 1. I read up all about it and stuff like that. They recorded it in downtime at the Manor Studios, which Richard Branson owned, and basically he just went in whenever the band of the day finished. So the band would finish at 11 o'clock or midnight or whatever, that would go out, and then he would go in and then use it until 9 or 10 in the morning when whatever band was in the morning came in. So he just kind of did it on the cheap, just working in off hours, and then sometimes a band would play all through and he would just not come in. Actually seen Michael Oldfield song in Wembley Arena, 1999, I think it might. He did an album called Guitars, where the entire album was done on guitars, all the sounds. So the sounds of the drums were kind of, sort of that kind of thing. And then the bass was just kind of like detuned, and then the other things. He wasn't cheating and using MIDI the way I am. It had an amazing song on it. It's amazing how I could remember that tune well enough, even though I've probably not heard it in like 20 years, and I could definitely have never played it on the guitar before. Or maybe it's just a really memorable tune. Maybe one day I'll get back into listening to Michael. I never had the record for that one. It was a CD because it was too late. You didn't get records back in those days. I'd imagine. I think I might have actually looked it up before on record. It's one of those ones that came out in such a limited run. It's like they're worth hundreds of pounds for the record. Say about £100 a record. I noticed Black Sabbath have been reissuing all their albums recently. The last year. This is what I've yet. And then Sabotage was just announced yesterday. I was like, oh, I could maybe do a special edition of Sabotage, and it's like the album is absolutely one of my favourite albums of all time. Maybe my favourite album of all time. It's just absolutely killer. And it's like, so you get the album like remastered on vinyl, and then it's like an outtakesy one, you know, like for unfinished versions of the songs, but not necessarily outtakes, more just before they put the vocals on or before the guitar overdubs of the album. And then there's like a live album from that era, which is kind of one that's already been out before, and it's like, and it's 80 quid. And I'm sorry, I do love the album, but I'm not paying 80 quid for a record, which basically I've already got, and plus the record I've got, all the scratches and stuff I've known since I was 16. So the wee bit at the start of Simpson Universe is kind of going, I got kind of going all the way through it. And if I listen to one that doesn't have that in it, it doesn't seem right. Yeah. Oh, I bought another guitar today. One I'd forgotten about. One of them. A Washburn Wing series. I have just ruined What's in the Box video for this week, hopefully. So I'll not mention it anymore. But What's in the Box, it's a Wing. Even though I decided I was not going to buy any more, and I had them all, and there's no point in having them all, and it's like, I've kind of found another one that's technically, I've already got one of them, but it was cheap and it's in bits. And because it's kind of like that Ibanez I was playing in the studio during the week there, because it's an Ibanez Blazer, and it had been painted, hand painted with a brush like 20 years ago or something like that. So because it had a really bad paint job, it gave me free reign to do whatever I wanted with it. So basically I did a dip paint on it and that was fine. So this one's the same sort of thing. I've got a bit of a free reign, so I'm thinking I maybe put P90s in it or something that doesn't exist in the wild. Maybe painting it something silly as well. It's kind of about time I won something. I've been looking at things. The last few things I've bidded on eBay have just disappeared. They've just jumped in price beyond what I'm willing to pay in the last second. I think everyone's maybe getting a bit bored, and I think, to be honest, I've kind of missed the boat a bit on what Japanese guitars are worth now. I don't think they're as cheap as I keep thinking they are. Really annoying. An old Rockola jukebox for them. There's probably belts and stuff in there. I think basically, I think YouTube might be a friend. It's the sort of thing that I think you'll find. There's people on YouTube who've got a jukebox channel. There's a guy I watch, what's his name? Techmoan. And he looks at like old hi-fi components. He did a video where I don't know when it was uploaded. I watched it today, but it was like a Philips cassette deck, and it had like a plastic thing he called a ski slope that sat on top. It was imagine it just being like a VHS recorder size thing, tape deck mounted on the top, And a thing that when after it played the tape, the spools went down and then it rejected the tape into this bit next to it. And then, so you could pile tapes up, like have 6 tapes sitting on top of each other. And once it finished playing one, it spat it out to the side, which kind of pushed it, and then it went round this loop thing. And as it went round the loop, it turned it over, and then it went back down again. So you could put 6 tapes in, and it would basically play side A of 6 tapes. And then by the time it got to the end of that, the next tape would have come round, and it would have, because it's gone round this loop thing, had flipped over, and you could listen to side B of all 6 tapes. Look, mental. Completely pointless. I should do a tour of my stereo, the tape deck. I've got my new stereo. I was raving about how good it is having a decent stereo a couple of weeks ago. I don't have any tapes. There's one in it, which is awesome, but I would like to hear it. Would it be YouTube copyrighted? It probably would. It's probably not worth it. He's a fixing for a living, recovering old pool tape as well. That sounds fun. It shouldn't be easy then. I was talking about my awesome tape deck. Yeah. So tape deck, basically I had to have it in the stereo because it looks so cool. It's got like 2 big VU meters on it, and it's like got a concentric pot for the recording volume and 3 quarter-inch jacks, Dolby B and C, and the whole thing's on a drawer with big levers on it and lights, and it was so beautiful I had to have it up there. I wish people would design things that look like that. And the thing is, even though it's obviously 70s, it kind of looks modern. It kind of looks like some sort of boutique thing that would maybe be handmade and then cast in solid aluminium. Something like that. I just bought the same bass amp as you. That bass amp. And the input jack is playing. I've encountered this problem. Basically, I was forever having problems with this when I first bought it. Many years ago. Only that I can't remember, it was one of them never worked. It seems to work now though. But this one, the active input just doesn't work at all. So yes, it might just be a bad contact. I broke into that about a couple of months ago to put in an external speaker jack on it. So I went in and I cleaned out the active, it was inside the amp, putting a speaker point on it. So I cleaned all that out and scraped it all and stuff. There didn't look to be anything wrong with it, but the active input still doesn't work. So maybe it's a weak thing in it. The reason I kind of just did that is because one of my pals, Buster, he says, I did was squish it with contact cleaner and then it worked. I was like, right. But nothing at all. So he put some iron bridge pickups in a Flying V. Iron gear. Did I? I don't think I've ever actually bought an iron gear pickup. I've had a few guitars that have had them in it, and I've fitted a few to people where people have given me the guitar and said, I want you to fit these pickups. I don't think I've ever actually bought them. I had a tendency just to buy Warman pickups because they're very similar range, the kind of whole idea of sounding pretty much exactly the same as DiMarzio's and Seymour Duncan's, apart from costing a quarter as much. Iron Gear, Wilkinson, Warman, kind of all doing the sort of same ballpark. That would be an interesting comparison video to do. How could I do that? Like if I was to buy one of each, or buy the similar rating, because obviously you can get like a Warman high output humbucker and then an Iron Gear low output. There's no point putting them against each other, but if they all like their version of a PAF, get one of each and stick them in 3 identical guitars and things. Three identical guitars don't exist, do they? Be interesting. But I mean, yes, they've always been good. Same with all the Wilkinson pickups I've come across have been good as well. I'm maybe not so sure on the Wilkinson. I think, see, when you buy like a Wilkinson guitar, a vintage guitar, I don't know if the Wilkinson pickups that are in it are the same as the ones that you can buy when you buy pickups separately. I'm not sure. I did have Wilkinsons that I wasn't impressed with. I can't remember what it was they were in. Yeah. Blue Drivers and that Hondo sounds good. What do you think of them? I want to change pickups in a Marlin Explorer. Nice. What I put in that? I put Explorer says to be 80s, and basically you want to get DiMarzio Super Distortion copies, whatever they are. They'll all do them. I don't know. Iron Gear metals. To make sure that you want metal. I always thought which a lot of people do. Oh, you want powerful pickups? Yes, powerful, better, hot pickups. Da, da, da. That's just what you want. You don't want weak ones. It doesn't do what I thought it was going to do. Like a low output pickup, like a good low output pickup, like a vintagey voiced one, is very bright and trebly and bringy and acousticy, which is lovely. If you get like a metal pickup and try and do what I'm doing, that comes across as really muddy and pants sounding. But if you're using mega gain and playing Metallica, Megadeth, that sort of thing, and you use the pickups I like, the low powered ones, they just turn to mush with hundreds of distortion, whereas the ones that sounded rubbish without hundreds of distortion and sound dead muddy, they are designed for hundreds of distortion. So it's kind of, if that's what you want to play, if you want to down tune and play Korn and all that, that's probably the way to go. But for me, I've kind of decided that it's not high output pickups I want. I want vintagey high output, because although they're low output, they distort much quicker and they're much more lively to me. You get that pure, really aggressive sound, which I like, but it's a sort of old-fashioned 60s aggressive sound, kind of like that fuzz pedal, actually, that kind of idea, rather than being, I mean, that's my favourite one just now, is that, which is I think it's a bit of a fuzz face clone, which is really aggressive and stuff, but although it's really, really aggressive, really, really distorted, it doesn't sound like a Metallica or a big. It's not really the sound you want, but yes, the blues ones are probably the ones that I would go for. I'm not a blues fan, as in I don't really like listening to folk who are kind of going da 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 da. That doesn't interest me. Like, I mean, I can appreciate you watching Peter Green, Joe Bonamassa, all that thing. Yes, brilliant guitarist, and the music doesn't inspire me at all. The one who's different is Rory Gallagher, who is kind of like that, but somehow not like that at all at the same time. So I like blues music, but not, I don't know how you call it, trudgy or something. It needs a little bit more. AC/DC don't use gain. Really, it's like the sound Angus uses is kind of like, it's less gainy than my amp when I'm playing it in the studio and I don't use any pedals. It's remarkably clean AC/DC. When you play it remarkably clean like the way Angus does, it's very difficult to play because you're used to, it's so much easier with the distortion hiding all the sounds. You know, when you're playing it clean, it really highlights any note that you're not hitting absolutely perfect. And that's for I think that if you've ever tried to play AC/DC in a band, you'll realise just how good Angus and Malcolm are at playing together, because it's not easy for both of you to do it doesn't sound right with that amount of distortion on, with that fuzz on. It's the same thing. It's almost clean. But you really notice how difficult it is to play that stuff once you have tried to play it with someone else. And both of you apart sound great. It's like, can you play back and back? And they play it. That's brilliant, right? I can play it as well. Oh, that's great. And then you try and play it together, and it's like, oh, you need to be so absolutely bang on in time and on the right volume to be able to do that. So I do have a great love of AC/DC. I've seen them a few times. Saw them on the Ball Breaker tour, the Stiff Upper Lip tour. That's it. And Hamden on the Black Ice tour. So I think I've seen them every time I've had a chance. Every time they played Scotland. I can see why Angus wouldn't want pedals. I mean, it's like I had a thing when I decided that when I was in the studio during the week there, I was going to start using a fuzz pedal or some. So I took in about 10 pedals, thinking, right, I kind of want the sound of that fuzz pedal, but I think when you put it into like an already overdriven amp, it maybe does something else. I took a few other ones, and really, no matter what I seemed to do, it didn't sound as good as when I didn't have any pedals on at all. I think maybe it's that thing about depending on what it is you're wanting to actually do, and or what you're playing. And I was just finding when I was using the Ibanez Blazer, using the Softtech there in the studio, and it was really, I could get clean just by turning the volume down to 8. And if I really battered it, it was still a sort of quite spanky clean kind of like this. And then if you put the volume up to 10, it was just glorious, amazing sound. So really that was my pedal, was like kind of, rather than have that, if I just ran the guitar at sort of 8 or something like that, and then when it came to a solo, I put it up to 10, it just seemed to do so well. And even when I was using the fuzz pedals, what it seemed to do was it seemed to get louder, but quieter at the same time. Louder, but you couldn't hear it because it lost all its definition. Something to do with that glorious thing that everyone's always fighting about and spending, thousands of pounds and Kempers and all this trying to get that valve breaky uppy naturally sound, and that Softtech does it. Whether, I'm not sure the valves aren't broken or the wrong valves or something which is causing it to do that, but I just find it really, really controllable. It just seems to, I really do love that amp, and it's like I don't really have very many amps, but I bought the Laney because it sounds sort of similar. It's a bit more sensible playing in the room, having 15 watts on at 1% rather than having 60 watts on at 1% and the volume in the guitar turned down a little bit. It really does kick it. I mean, I'm a valve snob, but I think it depends very much on how it is you play. And for me, I think because I'd kind of grown up listening to Sabbath and Naomi and Blackmore and John Fogerty and stuff like that, that's the sound I want. I don't really have that desire to sound like. Even though I did like obviously listen to Dave Gilmour and stuff. For me, the Dave Gilmour sound I like is Pompeii, which is a Strat through a Wind Copycat and everything turned up at 10. That sounds much more than the later on sounds, with the sort of the echoes and the delays and all that. It's like didn't really do that. The thing which I think is most impressive about there's a few really impressive things about AC/DC, and these things that were impressive when I first heard them, they weren't one of the first bands I liked. We're maybe talking, I was maybe in my 20s when I first really understood. I always liked the song Highway to Hell, because when my pal Martin used to play that in acoustic, and it was amazing with the chorus. It was like they're talking about a sing-along chorus. You don't even need to get to the end of the first line before you're already Highway to Hell got you, and you're in the second half of the chorus, never mind the chorus later on. Amazing. Hey Dustin, super. We're just about to wrap it up. I've been on for an hour now. This is the first time doing it on a Saturday. I don't know if it's really worked. I'll have some sort of vote, see people watch it. It doesn't seem to be as busy as it has been, but then I've watched the video on the AC/DC techs. I bet he is the same guys that have been doing it since 1975 though. And they would go through tubes like crazy. Just because I think we're long past the stage where Angus not actually buy any equipment; they'll just get given it. But I think Angus does run like a 1975 Marshall amp type thing, the same one. He's got a couple of backups, and it's like it's not the same what they're going through, because obviously they're running those things on 10. You would think to get that sound, and if you're doing that every day for 40 or whatever, however many years, and for 3 hours a night and all that, they're going to wear out. Something like, okay, my wee Laney gets some use, but I mean it maybe gets an hour a day, an hour and a half a day, something like that on average, maybe at the volume it's at just now. That's not like playing at full bung for 3 hours every day. And something like the Softtech, which is basically the same as the Marshalls, is just it gets used for 3 hours a week, or not even. I'm in the studio for 3 hours, so it's probably only playing for 2 hours a week, and I've not been in for a year. So I've never even changed the valves on that thing. Crazy. I was like the chorus on the Status Quo, whatever you want. Right, I know the sound you mean. The Wild Voodoo Child, okay, and Man in a Box. I remember Man in a Box. That took me years to find that. I remember going back a long time ago, before lots of TV channels and stuff. I remember taping. I got my granny and grandpa's old video recorder because it didn't do something. What does it not do? It would a really slow rewind. It took like 15 minutes to get the tape. It kind of just went. But it's like, so we're throwing this out. I was like, 16 or whatever it is, with a video recorder. Wow, nobody else had a video recorder. It was great. And I recorded Beavis and Butthead, which was on 2 in the morning on Channel 4 or something like that, and it had that wah 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 Man in a Box song. And I still honestly don't think I have it. I used to try and find, and that's what my record buying used to be. I would hear things on films and stuff like that, and I would try and find the record, look through bargain bins and stuff, because you didn't have this option. I'll just type into YouTube and see what it is, and then you can listen to it. I never had that option. You could buy the CD if you could find it. You buy the CD, which was like a tenner or 15 quid. It's like paying 50 quid for one song, which I just kind of want. The Flanger and She Sells Sanctuary. Is that a flanger? Right. We tried to do that in Cranking House for a bit, the She Sells Sanctuary. No, I said I didn't want to do it. I can't remember what we did instead. I don't know. See, I mean, yes, I do like effects and things, but I don't know. It kind of depends what it is. You can't imagine. You've never cranked a 4x12 to the max. Really? Never been in the studio? I think it's the first thing you do, but I suppose the difference is when you're in the studio, when you've never really played before, you're really rubbish on the guitar, or I was anyway, the first time I ever had it up at, did the Bill and Ted thing where you just roll your finger along the knobs and put them all up to full. It's different. It's a funny thing. Being in the studio is I've got super overconfident the last couple of years. Partly probably from doing this, but just being in lots of bands and stuff like that, or not millions of bands, but I'm not super confident gigging, so I've not really done that many gigs, but they've just been in the studio thing. You just get kind of used to the vibe of it, and having an amp, or I'm just saying the soft tech on top of the half stack type thing, is just lovely, and getting used to. I really felt when I was playing, like even without the pedal on, well, especially without the pedal on Wednesday night, I really felt when I was holding notes and doing that sort of thing, I was like kind of, if you imagine if I was holding a fire hose, it was kind of like, it was like, or maybe like the thing in Ghostbusters, you kind of felt like that when I was playing away. It's just like so, it sounded so amazing. It just, like to my head, I'm not saying that I'm the best guitarist in the world, but it's like, it just sounds so amazing having it at the volume where it's like that. Because I really think to a certain degree, it doesn't matter how good your amp is and how many effects pedals and what you do to produce it, and you play it at the volume we're playing it at just now, that doesn't sound as good as when you've got the power, as you say, yes. We're not even a particularly loud band in Cranking House. I reckon we're probably, I want to say half the volume of the Black Sabbath band, but maybe 2/3 the volume. Whenever I used to go into the studio, I used to always play maximum volume all the time, like too loud. It sounded better, but then when the Cranking House one, it was like, this is a few months before this lockdown thing came in. It was like, right, let's try to turn it down so we can the singer doesn't have to stretch as much. So we did that, and it just sounded fantastic. It was so much more controlled. If I really felt when we were doing that, I felt like we were playing in Jules Holland or something. I felt much more grown up, playing a bit quieter, and it gave me a little bit of rather than just starting off pure rocking and then you can only try and get more rocking, to kind of trying to intentionally play a bit quieter and a bit slower, so that when you got to the fast bit or you played a faster song, you could actually play it faster and louder than what it was before, and what the quiet song was like. We're actually doing we're playing a party at in August, I think it is. There's 4 bands on. So my pal, the drummer in band Cranking House, has got like a barn, and he's hired a marquee, or he's bought a marquee. He's going to have a retirement party thing. That's it. And there's 4 bands on. The first band is the band he plays. He's in a punk band playing drums. That's on, and then it's Cranking House. He's playing drums with me, and then there's the Led Zeppelin band, which I'm got asked to join twice and kind of had to decline, even though I love the guys that are in it. I just don't really fancy doing the Led Zeppelin thing. I got asked to join on bass, then I got or guitar and then bass, and then the Black Sabbath band. So the 4 bands, I'm in 2 of them, and the drummers in the 3 of them, and the singers in the 2 of them. It's like, yeah, it's going to be fun. I played in a band, so it was just 2 4x12 right behind the drummer. I cracked them. Well, just to annoy the drummer, yeah. I don't know, as long as you can hear everything. I think 2 4x12, I don't know, it depends what it is you've got plugged into the 4x12 as well, isn't it? I can't really imagine, there isn't really a situation where something like, to be honest, even the wee Laney, you don't need any more than that. The only place that would happen if you were maybe playing somewhere that didn't have a PA and stuff, because these things are, they're not there. I know, go back to Hendrix when they had their walls of Marshalls. They needed to have walls of Marshalls. I mean, that'd be up there, even without plug. It's got like an external socket on it, so I can run it into it's a 3x12. It sounds much better than a 4x12 because of the angles in it, but it's a similar sort of thing. Even with its internal speaker, it's loud enough to play along with a drum kit. So if it's loud enough to play along with an acoustic drum kit, then you mic up the drum kit, you mic up that, then you don't need any more. I mean, me and my pal Wayne, who's better now, Wayne survived. What a relief that was the other day. I said, sitting there, he hadn't been on, he was in getting a heart operation. He's got a big scar like this in the middle of his chest. And I was like, fingers up here, oh God. I kind of didn't want to be too sarky. I've been sort of laughing at him a wee bit, even just to try to lighten the mood a little bit. And I didn't want to go, up here, you still alive? So I just went, how's it going? And I got a message going, up here, it was like touch and go there. And I was like, oh, Jesus, but he's all right. Well, thank God for that. Hey, Dava, you've joined in. I'm just about to give up. You can stick your link to your video for the green guitars, which I disagreed with half of the things in it. So, what's the point in doing things if you don't disagree? Beastie Boys. I saw the Beastie Boys at Inveraray Castle, of all places. That was a surreal. It was called the Connect Festival, and they were brilliant. I've never understood or liked a DJ until I think one of the first songs they played was it was Immigrant Song, and the guy had like the Led Zeppelin 3 records. It's the green and the orange label on it, the Atlantic label. And what he was doing with Immigrant Song was unbelievable. It was like, and he was just like, I'd never seen. I kind of knew that people did the scratching and stuff, but I didn't realise you could actually do it with just like an album. And what he was doing was unbelievable. So I think he had like the guy playing the record, just kind of playing the first riff, and then like a real drum kit and stuff. Oh, it was amazing. They came out with that here, hi, Castle Scotland. Everyone's like, must have been such a surreal experience for them playing places, and you go somewhere like Inveraray Castle, because I mean, no matter how you get there, unless you get there by helicopter, it's like you're going, through the rest of. You're going to come in at Glasgow Airport and go up the rest of the Thankful. All these bands must have been sitting there going, what's this most beautiful place on earth to get to Inveraray Castle? It was a surreal experience. Saw Bjork as well. Bjork was unbelievably good on Loch Fyne. And it's actually a laser show, and you could see the lasers hitting off the mountains on the other side of the loch. And he did a song, Declare Independence, and it was that just, me and my pals were just absolutely rolling about laughing because it was so horrendous but amazing at the same time. It's kind of like Beefheart, but times 10. Bjork can be pretty horrible. It was like pure Declare Independence. You're just sitting there like, what the is that? Amazing. Anyway, so I've been on for about an hour. I watched Dava's thing there with the Top Gear thing, which the idea's kind of there, but it didn't do it for me. Anyhow, rock on, everyone. I'll get back to it. I'll see how I get on with this. I'll see if people watch this during the week. It's not been as busy as it has been the Sunday, but then again, it's the first week. Maybe the Sunday is better. Maybe not drinking is the way to do it, but I don't really want to risk it. You know what I mean? So, rock on, everyone. Cheers, and I'll see you all during the week. I've got bucket casters up for sale, and Ronnie, if you give me a message or a text message or something, if you want a bucket caster, I'll not put it up for sale until you check it. It's not really expensive. I don't even know if it works yet, to be honest. Rock on, everyone. Catch you later. And I don't have my cursor. Do I have my cursor? I don't have my cursor. There we go. So, cheers, man. And everyone, love you all. And end.